Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from and rule well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the one-third, the large multitude. Unto you I say shalom. Coming to you back with another lesson through the Spirit. And the title for this was going to be Trusting in Egypt is a snare and a trap. Because a lot of our people, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they're trusting in Egypt right now to be able to keep them safe right now, and more specifically in the time of trouble. Because when this economy collapses and we have all hell breaks loose, from Jacob's trouble to martial law being implemented, these detention camps being set up, being opened, and ultimately put the nation of Israel, that comprised of these so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, 2/3 of our people, they're going to trust in the devil. They're going to trust in the self-proclaimed white man. They're going to bow the knee, and they're going to trust in Egypt. And ultimately, that's going to lead them to be destroyed because they didn't put their trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And that's why it's going to be a snare and trap. A lot of our people are going to take that charagma and ultimately be destroyed for not trusting in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, for going down to Egypt and trusting in the devil, trusting in carnal means to save them, to deliver them. Because 2/3 of our people right now, they're in the vibration of Esau, Edom. They're in the vibration of being carnal. And that's why they're going to get destroyed for trusting in carnality instead of trusting in the spirit, instead of trusting in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. This is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that take counsel, but not of me, and they cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. And who are the rebellious children? Is the nation of Israel, comprised of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and Israelite foreigners, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. It may look like the heathens, but ultimately this truth resonates within their spirit, and their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because you're going to have Israelites coming in all shapes, colors, forms, because this isn't a black thing, this isn't a brown thing, this is a spiritual thing. And majority of the nation of Israel, they're in that rebellious spirit. They rather trust in the devil, the self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom, than to trust in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because a lot of our people, they get fooled by these politicians, Donald Trump, because of the way they speak through the smooth words, like it says in Psalm 55. His words are smoother than butter. But also, like it says in Sirach, never trust thine enemy. But our people don't go to the scriptures. They rather lean on their own understanding, and ultimately that's going to lead them to get destroyed. That's going to lead them to bow the knee, take that charagma, trusting in NWO, trusting in his devil, Esau, Edom, to keep them when all hell breaks loose. But ultimately that's going to be a snare and trap, and they're going to be destroyed for trusting in the devil, self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom. Verse 2, they walk down to go in Egypt and have not asked in my mouth, strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So our people, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they're going to trust in the shadow of Egypt. They're not going to trust in the shadow of the Almighty, like it says in Psalm 91, to keep them safe, to keep them in those times of trouble we're about to come into, because ultimately 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they don't believe. They really don't believe, and that's why they're going to get destroyed, because they rather believe in what they could see. They lack faith. They lack the fear of the Lord, and that's going to lead them to get destroyed, because Jacob, they can't see it, then they're not going to believe in it. But like it says in Hebrews chapter 11, faith, or I'm going to get it real quick. I don't want to butcher it. This is Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And 2/3 of our people, they can't see Yahweh Bashim Shai. They can't see the angels that encamp them round about them. And that's why they don't believe and trust in Yahweh Bashim Shai. But ultimately, that's going to lead them to get destroyed for their lack of faith, for their lack of hope and salvation, for the lack of fearing the Lord. That's going to lead them to get destroyed because they're going to trust in the shadow of Egypt. They're going to trust in Pharaoh. They're going to trust in Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man. Verse 3, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So when this devil, Esau, Edom, fully turns his back on 2/3 of our people, because right now they think that this devil, the self-proclaimed white man, Esau, Edom, is really for the nation of Israel. Majority of our people don't know who their enemy is. They don't know that the self-proclaimed white man is an adversary to the nation of Israel, that he was designed to put hell on the nation of Israel, that is really our number one enemy. But our people don't know that. And when he finally shows his horn to the full extent, because he's already showing his horn by deporting the northern kingdom, putting them in detention camps over there in El Salvador. But how much more when all hell breaks loose? Everything is everything went to shit. And the only solution is, hey, take this micro C hip, take this Kuragma, so you could eat, buy, and sell again. And our people are gonna go do that, but ultimately they're gonna be destroyed. Taking that Kuragma, they're gonna be put in that lake of fire for trusting in this devil. This is Isaiah chapter 31 and verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because there are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai. So woe, which means destruction, to those that go down to Egypt, to those that go down to Esau, Edom, because they see how strong his military is, his aircrafts, his aircraft carriers, his jets, his Black Hawks, his drones. The nation of Israel looks at all this and they're in awe. And that's ultimately why they trust in this devil. They trust in Esau, Edom, because they don't see the angels. They don't see, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. But ultimately, one thing they are seeing are the chariots. And majority of our people who see the chariots, who they ignorantly call UFOs, they get scared. But us, there are in the know, that has been given this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding by Yahweh Bashmiel Shai. We understand what the so-called UFOs are, which are the chariots of salvation. But for 2/3 of our people, they're going to be the chariots of destruction, because Yahweh Shai is coming with the heavenly host. He's coming with the chariots to zap a lot of our people for being rebellious, because they don't seek Yahweh Bashim Shai. They don't seek their true power. They rather seek the devil, seek Esau, Edom for help. Because a lot of our people, they fear more. They fear Esau, Edom more than what they then fearing Yahweh Bashim Shai. This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. Rather fear him which is able to destroy both the soul and the body in hell. And it says right there, if you fear not those who can kill the body, because that's all Esau, Edom could do. The self-proclaimed white man, he could just kill you. That's it. But Yahweh Bashim Shai, he could make you suffer a very painful death. He could make you go through a lot of pain before you die. He could have you get ran over. He could have you get shot in the chest. He could have you get ran by a train and keep your spirit in him. And when the when the intercontinental ballistic missiles get shot over here to America and utterly destroy this place and cause that lake of fire, a lot of our people, they don't want to repent because they think that it's going to be a quick death, that, the missiles are going to hit and that's it. They'll be back in the spirit world. But no, Yahweh Shem Shai is going to keep the spirit in those bodies and make it seem like it's eternity when that second death happens, because our people are willingly ignorant. They're willingly sinning. They're willingly going off. Ultimately, that's going to lead them to get that severe, that horrible judgment at second death. This is Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5. Thus said the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. And that's majority of our people, 2/3 of the nation of Israel that have departed from Yahweh Shem Shai. They have departed and trusted in man, trusted in the devil, trusted in Esau, Edom, the silver queen white man. And that's going to lead them to get that severe punishment. They're going to have to suffer and learn by pain after death. Verse 6, for he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when the good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, and in the salt land not inhabited. So our people aren't going to find that comfort. They're not going to find that protection. They're not going to have that protection, because ultimately they have trusted in man. They have trusted in Pharaoh. They have went down to Egypt for help. And in their minds, they think that they're going to get help. Like it says, in a parched land. If you going down to Pharaoh, down to Egypt, it's a desert. There's nothing there. There's no water. There's no shelter. There's no trees to cover you. So it's going to be the same thing, like going out to a desert for water and help. You're not going to find anything. You're gonna become dehydrated. You're gonna starve to death. And it's gonna be the same thing. We're going down to Egypt and trusting in man, trusting in Pharaoh. But it says right here in verse 7, blessed is the man that trusted in the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai, and whose hope the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai is. And who are those who are putting their trust and faith in Yahweh Shem Shai, trusting in those names to be kept when all hell breaks loose? Because we're calling on those names right now, but how much more when all hell breaks loose? How much more during the time of Jacob's trouble? How much more during martial law? How much more when those missiles are shot over here to the souls of America, Babylon the Great? The hopeful elect, us that have been given this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we're going to be calling upon those names. We're going to be calling on Yahweh Shem Shai to be delivered. But the rest of our people, they're gonna trust in man. They're gonna trust in Pharaoh. They're gonna trust in Egypt. A lot of them who they think that that who they only call God and Jesus Christ, they're gonna be calling up on those names, and they're not gonna get an answer. This is Psalm chapter 44 and verse 6. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. Verse 7, but thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us. So we're not going to trust in carnality to save us. We're not going to trust in the modern day sword, the gun, the firearm to keep us. Now, there's nothing wrong with having that for self-defense, but ultimately we're not putting our trust in those carnal weapons to deliver us. We're going to fully put our trust in Yahweh Shem Shai to deliver us, to keep us right now, and how much more when all hell breaks loose. Because ultimately is Yahweh Shem Shai who's going to get the glory, who's going to get the be exalted. Because ultimately that's what it's all about. It's all about exalting and praising Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because he's showing his power through us, through us being, woken up from that dead state, those dry bones, and now we're out here prophesying the destruction of America. But ultimately it's all Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai putting it upon our spirit through the Ruach Kodash to prophesy the end of this devil's kingdom, the self-proclaimed white man. This is Psalms chapter 20 and verse 6. Now I know that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai saveth his anointed. He will hear him from his holy heaven with the saving strength of his right hand. And who are the anointed in this time are going to be the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000, and the rest of the one-third, the large multitude. And who is that right hand is going to deliver? Those anointed, those that have been anointed by Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, we're a part of that number, are going to be the hopeful elect, being delivered by Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh Shai is the right hand of Yahweh. Verse 7, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, our power. So that's what we're going to be calling upon us of the hopeful elect to be delivered. We're going to be calling upon the true names to keep us, to deliver us, to keep us safe, to be able to eat, when there's the famine, pestilences, the plagues. We're not going to trust in this devil and go down to Egypt for help like the rest of our people, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, are going to do. This is Psalms chapter 118 and verse 8. It is better to trust in the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai than to put confidence in man. And that's what we're doing. We're putting our full trust. We're putting all, we're having faith that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is going to deliver us and keep us, rather than having confidence in man, having confidence in Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed white man, to deliver us, because he's going to offer that help. He's going to offer that hand that, hey, you can take this microchip, take this charagma, you'll be able to eat again. But ultimately, it's going to be a snare and trap. A lot of our people are going to trust in this devil to so-called bring normality back to society, but it's all going to be a snare and trap. This is Proverbs 29 verse 25. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai shall be saved. Ultimately, it's going to be a snare and trap for trusting in this devil, for going down to Egypt, for going down to the modern day Pharaoh, which is Esau, the self-proclaimed white man, for help. But the rest, the 1/3, us of the hopeful elect, we're gonna fully put our trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to deliver us when all hell breaks loose, when Jacob's trouble starts. Ultimately, when the intercontinental ballistic missiles get shot over there into the souls of Babylon, America, Babylon the Great, America. But that's pretty much the point. I pray that this is edifying to the elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who all learned this truth from me really well. Peace and salutations to the 144,000 and the rest of the 1/3.